Hey friends, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm a homeschool mom to a 10-year-old who's in 5th grade. And in these daily wrap-ups, I just like to share the work that we've done for the day. To start, I'll put a photo up of our whiteboard today, which just kind of shows our schedule and the order in which we did things. And some of the stuff I can't share on here are things like what she does for her checklist and her morning warm-up. Which is chores, and then she does calendar work, and then she jumps into the word of the day. Okay, today's word of the day was assume. Different definition than yesterday's assume though. So just kind of showing her that one word can mean two different things and both be the same part of speech. So that was our word of the day. We finished falling up. So now we're ready to move on to our next fun poetry. And we do poetry in our literature lessons, the study of poetry, but in the morning we like to start with what we consider like fun poetry. And so that was part of our morning warm-up. She did some self-led reading. She's continuing to read Oddity Woods, and she'll probably be done by the end of the week with the rate in which she's been reading that. For her grammar, she did EIW, lesson 4, compound subjects. So the first part, she had to go in and underline the compound subjects, and then the second part, she needed to go in and write her own compound subjects. And there was a little bit of confusion on this part because at first she thought she needed to use the compound subjects in this first part in this second part, just because some of her other curriculum is laid out like that, like her spelling does that a lot. And so that was a little bit of confusion, but once we talked through that, she understood the assignment, the task at hand. Okay, I also added some supplemental stuff onto her grammar because I had noticed a couple of lessons back she was having a hard time identifying the linking and the helping verbs, basically anything that wasn't an action verb. And so I don't know if it was summer slide, I'm not really sure what was going on, but I just wanted to make sure we can supplement and reinforce those verbs so they're easier for her to spot. So I went through a bunch of resources that I had, and what I found that I liked, I pulled from The Good and the Beautiful. So we stopped using The Good and the Beautiful when she was in kindergarten, I want to say, maybe first grade. But I still downloaded all their curriculum up until 5th or 6th grade. I can't really remember. I know obviously 5th because I went through and pulled this all from 5th grade work, but they offer their math and their grammar digitally for free. And so I downloaded all the grades that you can for free, and I kept them just in case. I always like to have stuff for, supplemental reasons, enrichment reasons. And so of all the resources I had, I liked theirs the most when it came to using it for review. And so I took a bunch of stuff out of their curriculum specifically for linking verbs and then going into helping verbs. And I just made these their own little lessons, or like just supplemental pieces to add on to her lessons. And so today she did these two pieces to get a refresher on linking verbs. And I just named them like supplemental 1, sup 1, sup 2, sup 3. So then after grammar tomorrow, she'll do this, so on and so forth. Basically pulling all the linking and helping verb pieces out. And it really wraps around and asks some of the same questions, just to, again, reinforce what you're learning to help it stick. So that's what we added to her grammar today. Man, I'm struggling to get words out today. Okay, for spelling, we did 1.6 of words. So basically, I had this stuff up on our whiteboard for Canva. So she would read these words, and then we would dissect why they have the endings that they have, because I should have started with this. We were learning 2 new spelling rules today. The doubling of F, L, S, and Z, sometimes Z, and then also soft C and G, and then a couple rule breakers that are in each category. So for this first half, she would read the word and then tell me why we doubled up the letter. And then for this second part, she would read the word and then she would tell me if it was a soft C or a soft G, or a hard C or a hard G. And then I dictated 2 sentences for her, and then she typed them out. And then she did the worksheet that goes with the 1.6. So she had to take these words and then put them below, separating them by soft C or hard C and soft C. And then same thing with G, hard G, soft G. And that was spelling. For history, we finished chapter 1 in Total Twins, and then we reviewed the timeline that we've studied so far, just verbally, and then reviewed the Silk Road a little bit. And then she answered the question, what happened to cause the traders to look for new routes? One route being around Africa, because we were studying why merchants started trying to find new routes. What happened, like what disruption from the Silk Road caused them to try to find new routes, which eventually led to new lands being discovered. And we had a little extra reading on Marco Polo, so she was just coloring this a little bit while we learned a little bit more about Marco Polo. And that wrapped up our history. For Spanish, today was matching. So she had to match this section and this section, and then I had her write 2 more sentences that she picked from the practice section in her Spanish notebook. So that's what she did there. And she did PE, she did 20 minutes of next, and then the last thing was science. And so for science, we read the intro and most of chapter 1 in here. We still have a little bit to go. With the focus on today being the skeletal system. And oh my gosh, I have like these little decoration maggots. So gross. Our house is decorated. Our table, I have like a whole setup on the table, and that's where we do our science, because I have this stuff all like spread out like strew style. And yeah, apparently I'm collecting maggots when I collect the work that we do. Okay, we also read the intro, and my pals are here, and so basically this, and we used this as our inspiration for our notebooking today. So this is how her little notebooking turned out. She did a pretty good job. We also, I don't know if this is going to be, I'm going to be able to catch this on camera. Maybe some. We read the preface in here. And then we read the skeletal system. And while I was doing some of the reading, because I will read some, and then on other stuff we switch off our reading, Like we switched off reading in here, and then she wanted to read all of this just because it's like a comic book. So when I was reading, she was playing with her little squishy skeleton person. I'll put a photo up of what our table looks like while we're doing these units. But that was our science today. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and until tomorrow, bye.